Hello and welcome to IVP 2024. This is Patrizia Acerra, Executive Director and founder of the International Voices Project, and we have a real treat today. We are through 4 of our 5 readings. I'm not biased, but I really feel like we've saved one of the best for last. This is an English language premiere of Lukas Bärfuss's Seduction. And I've got Lukas with us, which is amazing. We've got translator Neil Blackadder and director John Green. But before we begin, I am going to take my 30 seconds of being a fangirl with Lukas and say, first, I'm so grateful for you letting us present these plays over the years. They're extraordinary. And sometimes when I describe your work, to me, they're like jewel boxes. There's this beauty and rhythm to ideas and how they flow together. And it's just been such a pleasure and a delight to present your work. And I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you so much. I'm already blushing. Don't go further. I'm
Lukas,
melting. Thank you so much.
Lukas, I would add to that. I'm working with have the pleasure of working with Neil on this, and one actress, Kendra Thulan, has worked with me and Neil on every one of your plays that we've translated, and asks to do it each time.
Oh,
these are perfect Chicago plays.
Greetings.
Yeah,
these are plays that work so well for Chicago audiences and in Chicago theaters, and we want to see more of them on stage.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now I really want to get into it. So
I need an airplane ticket again.
Yes.
Chicago, the Windy City.
I love that idea.
Great time in this city, and I'm still a part of myself is still in this wonderful city. Really, Chicago is just amazing.
I also love the painting or portrait that's right behind you.
Yes. Yes, this is a friend of mine, and it's not clear whether it's a squirrel, a dog, a rabbit.
That's why it's perfect.
Which in many ways,
yes, it's a changeling.
Which in many ways, Lukas, for me, describes your play, because
like
we're rehearsing it. Is it a noirish thriller? It's got political content in there. It's as Patrizia beautifully stated, it is a jewel box that we're opening and discovering. And each time we rehearse, of course, something new comes out for all of us.
Why don't we start there, Lukas? Why don't you tell us about the inspiration? Just tell us about the piece itself.
Oh, that's a really long story. The play isn't that long. In fact, it's quite short.
Right.
And also, there are only 3 characters, 3 roles, but the research and the work that I had to do before was I was really occupied for years with this matter. And there are 2 main lines, if you like. This is the line of the biggest wealth in Germany, coming from the family Quandt. In 3, almost 4 generations from the Weimar Republic to the Third Reich, Germany after the war till nowadays, they with every disruptions and wars and crisis, they managed to stay on top of the richest people in Germany.
Yeah.
And within this story, with this story comes a lot of suffering and of what we call in German Zwangsarbeit, forced labor, and people killed by work and concentration camps and all this all these monumental crimes. And there is a story of an imposter. And this has, in fact, a historical basis, because the last heiress of this fortune, named Susanne Klatten, fell in love with a gigolo. And she was blackmailed by this gigolo. And this gigolo was a Swiss citizen. And this Swiss gigolo was himself a victim of a really obscure guy, which had a sect, a cult. And this woman was really, really brave, because she met this guy during a wellness retreat in the Austrian mountains. And she was betraying her husband with him. She was married, and the family, and just literally the richest woman in the universe. And she was blackmailed. And the first time she gave him money, a lot of money, because he told her a story that he was a lawyer and a diplomat, and was by himself blackmailed by the US American mafia because he ran over a kid during a stay in the United States. And this kid happened to be the son of a mafia boss. And now that's what he told her, whether he pay or he got killed. So she helped him out, gave him, I don't know, literally a lot of money. And then he asked for the second time. And she resisted. She said, "No, I don't give you any money more money." But he, with this cult leader, made footage of him and her making love in this hotel retreat. So he had leverage. And he said, "I'm going to publish all of that." And it was really obscene, because they drilled a hole into the wall of this hotel room. Really a cheap story. And she was very courageous, because she went to the police, and she made all public. And she said, "I betrayed my husband. I am blackmailed. And I'm going to the trial, and I want that this man got to jail." So, and there is another line, because all the imposters in literature, they are really a lot of imposters in literature. They are made to be written down in a good story. They are a good story, like it's the question whether if we are all actors of our own lives, and if we can change our roles, and what we call a character or a personality, and can we change it, or are we locked in a life that we have to hold on, or can we change our identities? And by itself, that's really a big topic. And in my family, my father was an imposter too. He was a minor imposter. He wasn't Bernie Madoff, not at all. Really, he was a small town imposter. But he was telling stories all the time. And he had really a great gift to tell everyone the story he wanted to hear. And I think I'm his son in this way. And as a writer, I am making a living in good way out of this gift, you know. I never became a criminal in my life. But there is a danger in telling stories to other people. And yeah, and so I had all these witnesses, you know, from Hannover Höcken, from this concentration camp. They had to work for the how do you say, the batteries, you know, because this fortune, this wealth was mainly the second time. And the first time it was with uniforms, with soldier skiers from this quant. And in the Second World War, it was mainly batteries.
Batteries, yeah.
Batteries. And they were very important because only with these batteries, the German submarines could work. That was the big innovation. They all needed these batteries to.
Interesting.
And so this was very important, and he made a lot of money, mainly with forced labor. So people from all over, Jews, Polish people, French people, were forced to work in these factories, and they were just exploited to their death. And
wow.
And this is this is a lot of high energy historical literature, biographical energy within these few pages.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
And it feels like it in rehearsal. I mean, the scenes, what we love is that the cast loves is that each scene kind of ends with ambiguity, and particularly the end of particularly the very, very last scene where Zonya says to Tanya, "So what were you doing it for?"
Yeah.
Just end on that question.
What are we doing the things for? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an unanswered question, I guess, for all of us. Yeah. What
I love
really
about your characters in this and in other readings is every character in your play has a full world, and it's a world of confusion or delight or morality and amorality, but it's a full-bodied experience. Sometimes in plays there are these minor characters and they do little things, but in your worlds, in your stage worlds, every person is essential.
Amazing to hear
and
that.
that makes the experience
I have no idea
with
how
every character essential, urgent. You know?
That's really good to know. Yeah, I think it's due to cut a lot. I cut a lot. You know, it's really, yeah, I don't know how many hours I spend with these people. Really. I wake up with them, I go to bed with them, I eat with them, I read, they are part of my family. They are just, I am surrounded by this ghosts or by these voices for really a long time. And I think that's what a writer should be paid for.
Sure.
But I have to admit that sometimes when I don't find the solution for their personalities, it can be struggling, or I have no answer what is going to happen after the last scene with this three, you know.
Lukas, could you talk a bit about, I mean, something you told me and I've passed on to Patrizia and John is that you had a conception of the play originally that was going to be a play with a much larger cast,
Yes,
a very different kind of canvas.
absolutely.
And so we'd be interested in hearing a bit about that. And I'm also wondering how you felt about the production that was done at the Deutsches Theater.
Oh, that was amazing.
It was good, yeah?
Yeah, that was amazing. And it was a huge success. And it was for 4 seasons. It was really on the program. And it was, yeah, and people loved it. Yeah, but it started with a much bigger cast, with I don't know, infinite cast, if you like, because I wanted to show all this backstory, which I just happened to tell you about Quant and the Second World War and all these factories. I wanted to tell all these stories, and I wrote a play. I wrote everything, in fact, with Quant and because there is another story behind this, which is also incredible, because Quant was the first husband of Magda Goebbels. So the great grandfather of this heiress, who was a victim of these imposters, so was the first patriarch, was the first husband of Magda Goebbels. And then she wasn't Goebbels, she had another name, and she left him to marry Joseph Goebbels. And she was the woman that killed 4 of her daughters in the bunker at the end with Hitler, right at the end. And she was very much into Hinduism, which is also strange. She was
wow.
She was by herself very much following a cult leader, you know? And I don't have to mention with you, US citizens, the actuality and how this forms still our societies.
Right.
This will to follow a leader.
Yeah.
And I got goosebumps right away. This is really an unsolved danger for freedom and for the free spirit, to follow a leader in economically, religious, politically, spiritually.
Yeah.
Why do we need leaders? Why do we need to be followers? Why are we willing to forget our freedom? Yeah, it's really to give up our freedom. We are born free, you know. Rousseau in one of his most important books, he starts with the question, men are born free, and although they are all in irons,
Chains.
l'homme est né libre et pourtant il est dans les fers. Why are we putting ourselves in shackles? It's really, I don't know. No answer.
What kind of reaction did you get to the play when it was staged? What were people talking about? What did they discover, your audiences?
They were trying to figuring out what just happened. I think they were trying to put in perspective this dramatic experience, and to I think to solve one of the problems that Hauke brings to this play, and Sonia as well, and just to they were stunned in a way.
You know, the more I do this, because now we're in season 14, the more I feel like one of the best things a play can do is to push an audience to be comfortable in ambiguity. That we are so inclined to go right, wrong, good, bad, blue, red. but we have lost our capacity to live in the ambiguity, even if it's for a short time, because I think somewhere in the ambiguity is rational compromise.
Mm.
And we're certainly not there here in the States at the moment. And I think that's a lot of what your plays do. It pushes people into an uncomfortable, necessary ambiguity.
I think that's a
life.
little bit what we received from modernity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the tragedy of the modernity, that there are only two certain moments where you need really help from a doctor. The first one, if you think that everything is connected, and the second one, if you think that nothing is connected.
Mm.
And to find the path in this contradictory truths, you know. In Goethe quoted that in art, nothing is true without its contrary, without its opposite.
Mm.
And that's right. I think that's right when it comes to love. We are teared apart by this really contradictory emotions. With Kleist, it's beißen und küssen, which rhymes. To bite and to kiss, that rhymes. In politics, it's too obvious to mention. And we know that finally, for our destiny, there is no answer, no solution, no why, you know. There is no why. It's just an existential experience that we are thrown into something, and we have to make the sense out of it.
Having mentioned Goethe, I want to take a second to thank our wonderful partner, the Goethe Institute, who made the translation possible and who also has supported the festival in these readings through the years.
Yeah, and greetings to the new director. They have a new board, a new chair, and all the best for this important work.
Good stuff. We are very grateful.
I think, to your point, Patrizia, what's also interesting for the audience for this piece is that the characters themselves are so ambiguous. Who do you? There's no one character that you think, oh, that is the classical idea of the hero that I'm going to follow. Protagonist. They all have these immense backstories that we're not aware of. I mean, particularly Tanya, I'm fascinated by Tanya, the doctor, and the ambiguous position she is in. And as the play progresses, the more you want to know about her, and the more she's holding back. I think it's a fascinating portrait that a psychiatrist wants to keep Hauke in prison, to study him, doesn't want him to leave, wants to control his life.
A doctor needs a patient.
Yeah.
Without the patient, there is no doctor.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
So she's a cult leader as well.
Yeah.
And I'm really depending on this cult of modern medicine, and I don't know. You know, recently I read a lot about the history of modern psychiatry and the ideas we make of personality, of identity, and how it comes that we think that each one of us is in the middle of the universe that is expanding from one center outwards, no? And I think what we think about ourselves quite a lot is just simple and pure BS. And the stories of Freud and Jung and Adler are really strong. really strong stories
Mm.
about traumas, about neurosis, about images, about symbols. When there is one storyteller in the 20th century and even in the 21st, it's Carl Gustav Jung. Hollywood is Carl Gustav Jung. The concept of the hero, you know, hero's journey, is really Carl Gustav Jung. And I think it's, from a scientific point of view, it's just crap. It's just a made-up story, a very good made-up story. But sometimes I think we got lost in all these stories, but fundamentally lost. And we are telling ourselves there are good stories and fruitful stories, and there are toxic stories. And I think one of the really important roles and why we need theater and performances is to show the good and the toxic stories, that we can protect ourselves from the toxic ones, because they are literally killing our society. And yeah.
Where does, Lukas, where does Sonia originate from? The daughter who does all this research and then says to Hauke, well, we should make a film of your life.
There is a very wonderful German word for her. It's Behauptung. Neil, can you help? Die Behauptung. Die Behauptung.
Kenn ich nicht.
That's very German. I excuse me.
Yeah.
I have to go to my library and get some books. Okay.
And look at the beautiful,
lovely flowers.
Indeed.
Neil, while Lukas is doing that, I want to make sure we get this in. You know, when I started this, I started IVP from a director's perspective, because in my opinion at the time, as a youngin', my belief was, and it still kind of is, that directors are the champion for getting these pieces to the stage. They fall in love with them. They pitch them to companies, producers produce them.
Right.
And it's, but what I've discovered, particularly through you and a handful of other people, but really through you, is the champions are the translators. Because if the translators aren't getting that work out there, it will never hear it. So let me, on film, because I've never done this with you before, just say thank you how much I appreciate you bringing us Lukas and others, because without you,
Absolutely,
we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have them. It's that simple.
And I want to second that. And also, Patrizia, I've thought a couple of times this time around how fascinating it would be for the audience to sit in on a rehearsal, particularly with Neil in the room, and the interaction between actors and Neil and myself in this case.
Absolutely.
That is a real learning process. Thanks to you, Neil.
But I really appreciate everything you've brought to us and done to us, and you're a real champion in all of this.
And for this long time.
Yeah.
I started early in my career, you know.
Right, it's true.
Do this wonderful and precious work. So my love goes out to you.
We've just started. We've just started, thanks to Neil, to look at a second play of yours. Did you tell him that, Neil?
I didn't know. I mean,
no.
You're talking about Malaga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
which of course was produced in Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
That's a mean one, but
I mentioned it to John and the actors, because it's a somewhat, I mean, it's a 3-character play, short lines, you know, a lot kind of sort of a triangular constellation. It has a certain amount in common. Yeah.
True.
Anyway, did you find the translation
Yes.
of the
It's
word that I couldn't help
assertion.
with?
Assertion.
Assertion.
And there is an assertion. What if someone knew everything about you that you know and a little bit more?
Mm-hmm.
If somebody has the full view in your documents, in your life, in the informations, in just everything,
Mm.
could this person not to pretend anybody, to be anybody, your daughter, your mother, because a relationship is also made out of informations.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know 100% about me, about my life. You know a glimpse, and I have a glimpse on your life.
Mm-hmm.
But the people you have close to you, you share a lot of specific knowledge about yourself. And somebody who would know just anything could pretend to be anyone for you. So, and I thought this was quite almost, that could be an idea of Jorge Luis Borges.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The infinite knowledge, the infinite library, the infinite information, which gives you infinite power.
Mm.
And also,
it's such a powerful moment when Sonia says to Tanya, "Oh, that was just a neighbor."
yes,
I just got this information from the neighbor.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's of no importance if you are the person who got this information is of no importance. It could be also anyone, you know. It's just really
I also love the way
the knowledge.
I also love the way the arc of the play starts with Hauka, but by the end we're focusing on Sonia and Tanya, that you give the last scenes to them.
Yes, that was ethically not. I was forced to do it in this way because I couldn't leave him the last word. I was just not possible.
Yeah.
And this was also due to my respect for Susanne Klatten in a way, you know, which is for me also very ambivalent because she's really the heiress of this dirty fortune in a way, this money.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, I respect her for this courageous thing that she went to the police.
Right.
Because I think no one should be fooled by love. I think everyone has a right to have some kind of truth. No? And in love, I think truth is maybe it's equal. Maybe it's equal.
Lukas, I'd love to get your reaction to a thought about the play that I keep coming back to, which I like the idea that at the end the two women are going to win and they're going to split the 7 million between them.
Yes.
I feel like you've set it up that's plausible, but it's certainly not like the truth. But do you agree that
I think that's I like this idea. I like this idea very much. Yeah. I think 3.5 millions can make a day. I think.
Yeah, indeed.
So, and finally, I think I always want to end with the upbeat. And I think you can't sell tickets on a downbeat. That's not okay. Certainly not in these times, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
You really got the downbeats for free on every open channel. And I think this encouragement, that there is something to grab, even if it's only 3.5 million or so. I
Right.
think yeah, I need that.
That at the end there's this possible, there is a what if to imagine forward.
Absolutely.
It's a lovely space to be in.
Yeah.
At the end of a play.
We were rehearsing it at the end on Monday night, and decided that we played it a number of different ways. In the end, the two women sit there with the bag between them, and they just look at each other.
Cool.
Yeah.
I want to be in this bag. That's good.
I want to do one other thank you too before I forget it, because as we're going along, Instituto Cervantes. So Instituto Cervantes has sponsored the readings probably close to a decade. John, you'd probably remember better than I would. But giving us the space to do this kind of work and the freedom to do the work that we want to do is extraordinary. And we are very grateful to Instituto Cervantes Chicago.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Another champion.
Yeah.
John, you were going to say something.
No, well, Lukas, given all the research you did that resulted in this play, are you still using the rest of that material? Is it finding its way into your other writings?
No, I'm very picky. I'm very picky. I don't reuse things. I want to go further, and no, I think that's also how I see my job is to research 1,000 pages and read one or write one.
Right.
So,
right.
And I get also quite annoyed, you know, not annoyed by the things I'm reading, but annoyed with my with myself. So I need a new I need a new story in a way. Yes, that's not very efficient. I know.
No,
I could be much
it seems
more.
to be working out okay for you. Could we talk a bit about the in some ways the part of the play that John and I have talked most about, which is Zonia's long speech, and you know, we've been talking about various ways to consider what's happening there and ways to handle it theatrically, and obviously we're talking about just a reading, not a full production, so that kind of becomes part of the conversation too. But I don't know. I mean, Lukas, you could just talk to us about it, or John, you could tell Lukas your latest thoughts and see what Lukas thinks.
I would be happy to hear.
I think what's working for us at the moment, and obviously we'll have to work for the read through, was an idea that actually, Neil, we talked about at the end of our rehearsal together, which is that Sonia produces a notebook with all of this material in it and starts and is shocked that Tanya, in the dialogue leading up to the monologue, dismisses and says, well, this is, you know, this woman was a victim of circumstances. Let's move on. There are other things we need to talk about. I'm paraphrasing. And that therefore the motivation for Sonia is to try and convince Tanya, and she's reading sections and looking all the time for a reaction. And so we have the conflict of the information, which is in itself traumatic, as we agreed, but also the growing frustration of Tanya that this monologue is going on and on and on. So that seemed that having her flick through, find these diary inserts, if you like, is a way we've approached it.
Mm.
And interestingly, Neil, the more we've done it, in many ways, the shorter it's becoming in actual time. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
There is a old and important dispute among historians, and it started in a way with a book by Hayden White, which is called Metahistory.
Metahistory.
Metahistory. Mm-hmm.
And he applied the theories of literature on history. So he was looking if Mommsen, Ranke, and all the 19th century historians and Burckhardt could be compared with contemporary writers, if they were telling the stories in a way that was really 19th century. And he found out, yes, very much so. And there was another very important historian, Carlo Ginzburg, an Italian historian, and he was one of the founding fathers of what we call today microhistory. Yeah. And he was researching very minor incidents. There is another US-American. He wrote a very important book about the cat massacre. Have you heard about that? What was his name? Danton, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Danton, yeah.
Darnton. Robert
Danton, I think.
Robert
yeah.
Darnton. So you take really a small incident like some millers in the 17th century or in the 18th century killing the cats of their employer, and is describing everything in detail. And out of this, he describes the whole of the society. Mm-hmm. And Carlo Ginzburg was very opposed against Hayden White, because he said, we have people who suffered, people got killed, and we have witnesses. And the witness as a position is beyond any narrative. The witness is in a way sacred. And what he brings to us is an account on the suffering of human beings in history. It's not all. You cannot describe history only by the methods. You know, there is a substance, and the substance is the human suffering. And I think this account in this play, which comes like a meteorite in this play, it's really, you know, it's almost without any connection to the what we call the story or the plot or anything else, is just the account of a man who was one of the few survivors of this killing in this barn in Niedersachsen after this death walk, because they wanted to deport all this slaves, people who were enslaved, to kill them before they got caught by the US-American soldiers, in fact, by the GIs. And this is just I didn't change anything in this account. It's Die Scheune von Isenschnippe. Yes, and this is like the antithesis to everything of an imposter or of this maze of stories we so often got lost.
That's really helpful. Thank you. Yeah,
That's interesting. Yeah,
that's really good.
This
Yeah.
has been so insightful.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Lukas, I think I'm thinking of the weekend already, but one of the ways I think about your play is like a good craft cocktail. So we have a lot of craft cocktail bars, and it's, you know, those people who are obsessed with it, they take hours and they try all these different things, but it comes down to a drink that's about that big. But it is the most perfect experience based on someone who's put in so much time and effort to come down to something that looks so simple. True. And yet has been profoundly considered and experimented with, and your plays are like a very good craft cocktail to me.
I think I'm polite. I don't want to waste anybody's time, you know, with something just of no importance. And if you can shorten it, you should shorten it, because there are a lot other important things to do in a lifetime, and time is precious. So it's, and I always cut to the essence, because of course.
Yeah.
Well, we are very, very grateful and glad you could join us today.
Thank you.
All the different time zones. We might, John and I are the same.
My pleasure, and to see Neil on my screen, ordinary Wednesday evening is just a joy.
Thank you all very much, and thank you everyone for joining us. Come see the reading on Monday, 6 p.m. Instituto Cervantes. Tickets are available at the door.
Nowhere. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. See you in Chicago.
Yes,
okay.
Love that.
And good luck for everything that is going to happen in the next 4 years.
Indeed.
With you, you will never lose your European friends. You are not alone.
Thank you.
Okay?
We appreciate that.
Not.
Yeah.
We are really sharing all this troubled time you're going through.
Right.
And yes, we are really compassionate.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you.